ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Sitting in tonight in Washington, Ted Koppel.
Good evening. The new defense minister of the Soviet Union today endorsed the concept of a mostly volunteer army. The new chairman of the KGB promised to fire all of the secret police agency's informers, who are said to number in the millions. And the number of republics which have declared their independence from the Soviet Union is now a majority. Jim Laurie reports from Moscow.
The parliament in the capital city of Baku voted unanimously to make Azerbaijan an independent republic. That makes Azerbaijan on the Caspian Sea the 8th republic to declare independence from Moscow. But it was a split with a difference. For the communists still hold sway in Baku, and the Azerbaijani leadership says it will not follow orders to disband the party. The declaration worries some republics which depend on Azerbaijan for oil products. It worries neighboring Armenia most of all. The two have fought a nasty ethnic and territorial war for years. Meanwhile, there was an effort today to diffuse tensions over the border between Russia and the key Central Asian Republic of Kazakhstan. Russian Prime Minister Rutskoy and Kazakh leader Nazarbayev signed an accord similar to that signed yesterday between Russia and the Ukraine. Once again, the process did not include Mikhail Gorbachev, who remained behind closed doors in the Kremlin. And Gorbachev received other snubs as well today. He had invited 3 politicians active in putting down last week's coup, including Alexander Yakovlev, Moscow Mayor Gavril Popov, and Edward Shevardnadze to join a new National Security Council. But they turned him down. And in a further embarrassment, a Gorbachev friend for 40 years was arrested and indicted. Parliamentary Speaker Anatoly Lukyanov charged with treason for his involvement in last week's coup. Gorbachev today was preparing for Monday's Congress of People's Deputies. It's a key meeting because that parliament has the power to change the Constitution, recognize independent republics, and if it chooses, even replace Gorbachev as president. Jim Laurie, ABC News, Moscow.
Another indication of a witch hunt for possible conspirators. A communist lawmaker charged today that his home was invaded by police, looking for evidence that would link him to the coup attempt. The police left when they found nothing. The lawmaker says that violated his guarantee of legislative immunity. The Russian President Boris Yeltsin was in Latvia today, meeting with officials there to talk about the Baltic drive for independence. His Russian Federation has already recognized the 3 republics, but there's a significant minority of ethnic Russians in the Baltics who are less than enthusiastic. John Donvan is in Latvia.
Visit any bookstore in Latvia's capital, Riga, and more than half of the titles are in the Russian language. Outside, Russian storefronts and Russian newspapers, and a population of Russians that, here in the city, have long outnumbered native Latvians and felt themselves at home. But now Russians in the Baltics are, in the words of one Latvian government official, in a state of shock, having gone to bed one night inside the border of the Soviet Union, he said, only to wake up the next morning and find that the border suddenly seemed to be shifting. Now there are Latvian flags where the Soviet hammer and sickle once flew, and Russians are no longer sure where they fit in.
This is the question. This is the question that people does not know citizen of what state is he.
This worker named Victor lives in a rusting railroad car, as do all of his neighbors, most of them Russian workers who came here for jobs in the last 20 years. I'm not happy with the independent Latvia, one of them says. I don't think most people are. Victor plans to stay in Latvia. I have nowhere else to go, he says. But Vladimir and Natalia Pisarevsky, both Russian factory workers who came here in the 70s, have given some thought to leaving.
It is very difficult what they want us to do, to go from one nationality to another, without any real chance to get ready for it. That's why I'm afraid of it.
Latvia's parliament, trying to reassert local culture after 50 years of Soviet suppression, has passed laws replacing Russian with Latvian as the official language, required for many government jobs. That would disqualify many Russians who never learned the language. Government officials say they are looking for solutions, like better programs for teaching the Latvian language.
There is a clear indication that they are trying to solve this problem in a democratic way.
Many younger and better educated Russians believe this and say they would feel at home in an independent Latvia, but others need more convincing. Perhaps this group of soldiers among them, harangued this week by a Latvian woman about the crimes of Stalin and Lenin, until they got up and walked away. John Donovan, ABC News, Riga, Latvia.
The same kind of ethnic tension is being played out in the Republic of Moldavia. Ethnic Russians there are threatening to cut off power and gas supplies to the rest of the Moldavian Republic because their leader has been arrested on suspicion of having supported the coup attempt. In a moment, all that property owned by the Communist Party, what happens to it now? Also, eyes in the sky that help you find where on earth you are. And our Person of the Week, a smashing return.
I've got a 6 a.m. flight. I've got to get some Z's.
Nitol safely helps you fall asleep fast so you can get your Z's. Nitol or Maximum Strength Nitol.
Nitol will help you get your Z's.
A lot of you insist on eating wheat thins and oat thins because they taste good. But the whole idea behind these crackers is that you can eat them without feeling guilty. That's why they're baked, not fried. I mean, eat them because they're delicious, and you miss the whole point.
Now that the Communist Party has been suspended, even outlawed across the Soviet Union, there's a new question confronting reformers. What to do with all the property seized from the party? Here's ABC's Rick Endefurth.
The hallways of Communist Party headquarters in Moscow are empty now. They used to be crowded with the most powerful people in the country. Empty, too, is the private elevator Mikhail Gorbachev used when he was General Secretary. Office doors are sealed and guarded to prevent the removal of any papers relating to the coup. Several foreign investors have expressed an interest in buying the building, but it's likely to become office space for Boris Yeltsin's Russian Republic, whose flag is already flying. The city of Moscow is now taking inventory of all communist property.
They just didn't have buildings, they had high-quality buildings, built not only with party money, but with the people's money. We want them back.
This used to be the Moscow Party High School, educating only the communist elite. When it reopens, it will be the Russian Humanitarian University, and anyone can apply to get in. That kind of change delights people in the neighborhood.
I was waiting for a long time for a communist system as a whole to collapse, not only this party school, but it's only part of it.
The party was also in the hotel business. Here in Moscow, it owned 3 of the best, including that one over there, the Oktoberskaya. Even some Central Committee members criticized it for being a bit extravagant.
The hotel looks like a fortress, separated from the people the party was meant to serve. Guests receive the red carpet treatment. The marble lobby is spacious, in sharp contrast to the cramped living conditions of most Soviets. It's now under government, not party control, and it could be sold to private investors. One bit of redecorating says it all. 2 weeks ago, the lobby featured a bust of Lenin. Today, it has been replaced with a potted plant. Rick Endefurth, ABC News, Moscow.
Every revolution produces its own heroes and shrines. This one is no different. The main ring road around Moscow, where 3 people were killed confronting Soviet tanks, was reopened to traffic tonight. It was reopened after officials agreed to set red squares into the pavement, marking the spots where blood was shed. Another place of special significance to the Russians who fought against the coup is the area right around the Russian Parliament building. ABC's Jim Hickey is there.
Only one of the barricades that stopped Soviet tanks still stands in front of the Russian Parliament. And a handful of people, students mostly, still mans the barricade. They've convinced the city to leave it up for now, and they are guarding against souvenir hunters.
We want to preserve this place as a memorial, and we have the honor of guarding it.
So they remain here night and day, no matter what the weather, protecting the tangled pile of iron and brick, a symbol of their moment of glory when, with thousands of others, they challenged the tanks. 22-year-old Sergei Vadyadin has even written a song about it. Now is a different time, he sings. We are a free people. Our path is lightened by the truth. Sergei is romanticizing more than a little. If anything, harder times are ahead. But they hope their country will make the most of this chance.
The country must preserve all the things we came here for: democracy, freedom, and glasnost.
This spot, where these people defended the Russian Republic last week, is already a monument to a time when workers mounted the barricades once before, during the 1917 Russian Revolution, when communism was born. Now they want this barricade to be a monument to communism's defeat. Tonight, the weary vigil goes on, guarding their barricade, guarding their victory. For 73 years, we were under oppression, says Sergei, the songwriter. The communists won't give up easily. Jim Hickey, ABC News, Moscow.
When we come back, a new set of mixed signals on the economy.
Everybody needs some money sometime. Everybody needs some cash sometime.
When you need money fast, only Western Union can get it to over 16,000 locations in minutes. Nobody else even comes close.
My heart just told me my sometime is
Western
now.
Union, the fastest way to send money.
I put off going to the doctor. But this burning stomach kept waking me up at night. Finally, I just went. I can imagine how relieved I was when my doctor said Mylanta. He said I had heartburn. And heartburn like mine needed a strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
Now available in cherry and cool mint cream flavors.
Something new. Color Tile.
It's Color Tile's Labor Day sale. Save up to 60%. Ceramic tile, 47 cents each. Sheet vinyl, $8.88 a square yard. DuPont Stainmaster carpet, $10.99 installed. Mini blinds, buy one, get two free. Come save at Color Tile's Labor Day sale. Store-wide savings. Color Tile, the #1 flooring retailer in America.
And it's all for you. Color Tile.
Sale ends Labor Day.
Some new statistics, economic statistics, out today that show businesses are getting more confident about the economy, even though consumers are not. The government's index of leading economic indicators was up in July by 1.2%, and new orders for manufactured goods are up 6.2%, the biggest jump in 21 years. ABC's Stephen Ogg on what all of that means.
A lot of people look at cardboard boxes as a barometer of the economy. When businesses think they can sell more goods, they buy more boxes to put them in. And orders have been pouring into the International Paper Company.
Demand is picking up, and that's an indication of increased production in the U.S. economy.
This increased activity is taking place across American industry, apparently to build up inventories in anticipation of increased sales. It's also one of the big reasons why the government's index of leading indicators has now risen for 6 months in a row.
I don't know of any single episode in the past where there was a 6 months consecutive increase in the leading index that was not followed by a recovery.
But while manufacturers are producing more, are consumers ready to buy more? The news on that score is not so good. Today's government figures show consumer confidence fell last month. So did personal income. And many consumers are buying only when they have to.
This is unforeseeable expense that we just have to bite the bullet and do.
There's no way I could afford them. They're much too expensive.
We're still looking at prices, but I think we're ready now.
Economists generally seem to agree that the recession is just about over. But this mixture of good and bad news shows just how weak the recovery is likely to be. Stephen Ogg, ABC News, New York.
On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost about 6 points, closing at 3043. Trading was light. For the week, the industrial average gained more than 3 points. An example of a new business that sees only good times ahead. The product is a high-tech personal navigation system developed by the military that fits in your hand. It is already bringing in $500 million a year, and that is expected to jump to $6 billion a year by 1995. Here's ABC's science correspondent Jim Slade.
The Allied forces who flew, rolled, or walked across the vast desert in the Persian Gulf knew exactly where they were. They were in contact with a group of Defense Department satellites called the Global Positioning System. And the technology is now rapidly spreading in the civilian market. This $2,000 receiver can take amateur sailors virtually anywhere on the globe to within an average 150 feet of their target.
It'll tell you where you are, where you want to get to, how to get there, and it'll tell you how fast you're going too.
There are 17 of the satellites. Signals from any 3 of them can identify the receiver's location and direction of travel. This delivery truck is being tracked by satellite. A dispatcher always knows where the truck is and can send messages to the driver. The technology is accurate enough that car makers expect to offer it as an option in the next couple of years. A red dot representing the car moves along a digital map so the driver is never lost. Wilderness hikers are buying receivers like this one, which weighs about 2 pounds. But the industry expects to start marketing a simpler version about the size of a portable radio soon, and they'll cost only a few $100s. Jim Slade, ABC News, Washington.
Technology has taught us something new about the planet Venus today. Radar images taken by the NASA spacecraft Magellan show there's been a huge landslide there. It appears to have been caused by what amounts to an earthquake that NASA scientists believe would have measured about 5 on the Richter scale. In our next segment, a student athlete decides it's more important to be a student than an athlete.
In the midday sun, a gentle breeze, the embrace, wide eyes, remember these, the touch, the feel, the fabric of our lives, the touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives.
So you just got a cash advance, did you? Too bad you used an ordinary credit card. Because you could be carrying some very heavy interest charges. Why not carry the Discover card? Just pay your full monthly balance and a small transaction fee, and we'll forget the interest. Which means our money comes with no strings attached. It pays to Discover.
Theragram wants to know. Changed my life. Not much. With Theragram M multivitamins with minerals, fine-tuned for the way you live.
Here's a great big idea.
Salad shooter!
From Presto, professional salad shooter slicer shredder. Big capacity and power. Special blades to point and slice thick, slice thin, shred, even ripple cut. Right where you want.
Salad shooter!
From Presto.
Today, there's a prescription strength cure for athlete's foot. Lotrimin AF, the #1 prescribed athlete's foot medication available without a prescription. Lotrimin AF, the prescription strength cure for athlete's foot.
In Talladega, Alabama, the FBI says it sent SWAT teams into the federal prison during the night because inmates were threatening to kill a hostage. All 9 hostages were freed. They had been held since last week by Cuban inmates who came over in the 1980 Mariel boat lift. The inmates were trying to avoid being deported. College football is about to lose one of its more talented players to, of all things, college education. Ohio State tailback Robert Smith is accusing his coaches of having a win-at-all-costs attitude. And he says they've accused him of taking his classes too seriously. That's where he's drawn the line. ABC's Armin Katayan is in Columbus, Ohio.
Last year, Robert Smith ran for more than 1,100 yards for Ohio State and was named Big Ten Freshman Football Player of the Year. This year, he was a leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy. But a week ago, Smith suddenly quit the football team. He is studying to become a doctor. He accused head coach John Cooper and his staff of making it difficult for him. He said an assistant coach had told him to miss important classes so he could attend football practice and to stop studying late at night after the football team's curfew.
Throughout the year, I questioned the importance of what I was doing relative to my larger goals in life. In view of these doubts, I believe neither the team nor I would benefit from my return to the football program at this time.
Coach Cooper insists that he does stress academics and that Smith just had trouble adjusting to the realities of big-time college football.
Certainly we want to have good discipline. We have curfew, we have bed check and things like that, but I think if you checked at most of the other successful major college football programs in the country and professional camps, you're going to find that they have the same thing.
Standing up for his convictions means that Robert Smith may not have a pro football career, but he hopes to trade his football scholarship for one in track, where he can spend less time being an athlete and more time being a student. Armin Katayan, ABC News, Columbus, Ohio.
A sports record that many people thought would never be broken was broken today. At the Mexico City Olympics in 1968, Bob Beamon jumped 29 feet, 2.5 inches. That was 2 feet farther than anyone before him. It was considered the greatest single accomplishment in track and field history. Today, at the World Championship in Japan, 27-year-old Mike Powell of Los Angeles outjumped Beamon by 2 inches. Powell said it was like living in a dream. We'll be back in a moment.
World News Tonight with Peter Jennings and the Person of the Week are brought to you by Maxwell House Coffee.
April in Paris.
He spoke English like I spoke French, but somehow we talked for hours over coffee. Coffee so rich, I thought I'd never taste its like again.
Discover the deep, rich flavor of Maxwell House Rich French Roast.
Encore un café?
What?
More coffee?
Oui.
Maxwell House Rich French Roast, blended with Colombian beans because better beans make better coffee.
A muffler isn't something you just stick under your car. The wrong one can really hurt your engine performance and fuel economy. Midas quality mufflers are installed by experts and backed by a great guarantee. Ain't nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
And now, Garfield will demonstrate how every cat can get the nutritious proteins of meat, fish, poultry, dairy products, and grain sources in every meal. Simply take 1 serving of Alpo cat food and...
Stuff it.
A small touch, a certain look. It's the little things that are worth the most. Which is why every Delta faucet gives you more than you'd ever expect for the money. Giving you the money for those things you can't even put a value on. Delta, the way water is brought to life.
General Norman Schwarzkopf officially leaves the Army this week. Now, by viewer request, the Barbara Walters interview that had everyone talking. Plus, death, because it's a fact of life. Some schools are teaching kids all about it.
On 2020, tonight.
And finally this evening, our Person of the Week. The momentous events in the Soviet Union these last 2 weeks have overshadowed nearly every other news story in the world. But while we were captivated as the drama unfolded, the daily movements of Gorbachev and Yeltsin and Lenin, we did manage to catch an occasional glimpse of another event out of the corner of our eye. And the person we choose this week has been a major player there for almost as long as we can remember.
Even after all these years, it's still my pleasure to go out and give it the best effort that I have. And if it works out and I'm able to reach a level that enables me to go out and compete and play these young guys now, that's even better.
It couldn't have been any better for Jimmy Connors than it was Tuesday night at the U.S. Open. Connors' opponent, 15 years his junior, had won the first 2 sets and 3 games of the 3rd set, and was about to finish off the 5-time U.S. Open champion in his 108th match there. But after all, this is Jimmy Connors we're talking about.
The only thing I do when I'm down is just, try to stay in there and grind it out and do what I've done really throughout my whole career. And that's the only way I'm going to die is if you shoot me, really.
Grunting and groaning in 90-degree heat, Jimmy Connors gave no ground from there on. After 4.5 hours, young Patrick McEnroe was stunned by Connors' sheer relentlessness. It was another amazing comeback for a remarkable athlete who'll be 39 years old on Monday.
I'm not afraid to go for it, and that's just swing from the hip and go for it.
He has this almost a lust for tennis. There are lots of players who hit the ball as well as Jimmy does or better, but you can't measure the heart.
What you can measure are the victories in a career that has spanned 22 years. 109 singles titles in all, including 8 Grand Slam titles. The 5 U.S. Opens, 2 at Wimbledon, and 1 in the Australian Open.
Jimmy may rank as the best player to ever play the game if you look at record, number of Grand Slam titles, number of championships, record in Davis Cup. He may go down as the best player in history.
James Scott Connors was born in a tough working-class neighborhood of East St. Louis, Illinois.
My basic attitude and ground game from growing up was East St. Louis, born and bred, and I'll never forget that.
He was raised by his mother, who taught him tennis on public courts to keep him off the streets.
She's my only coach that I've had over the course of my career.
A career which Jimmy Connors began as a brash and bratty 17-year-old, arguing with officials, clowning at his opponents, and scoffing at the fans, and growing up along the way.
Not only was I fighting myself, but I was fighting my opponent, and sometimes I was fighting 16,000, 17,000 people also. As I grew older, I started realizing that it was probably better for me to have those 17,000 people on my side.
Throughout the 70s and early 80s, those fans will never forget the tennis wars between Connors and Bjorn Borg, Connors and John McEnroe. Connors hasn't won a major tournament since 1983.
That's it. He's got it. He's got it.
But he hasn't lost an ounce of that desire. You've only to ask his former opponents.
He goes all out from the very first point to the very last. When he walks on a practice court, he's just as intense from the very first ball that he hits to the minute he goes off the court.
I don't want to practice him anymore because he practices like it's a tennis match, and I'm not in the shape.
Jimmy Connors won again last night. He will go on to the 3rd round of the Open tomorrow. Tuesday's astonishing comeback was the 8th time since 1971 that Connors, playing in a major tournament, has snatched a victory from what looked like sure defeat. The 8th time, and almost surely not the last time either.
One morning I'll wake up and say I've had enough and not want to go through the grind that I'm going through right now, but until then I'm having a ball.
And so we choose Jimmy Connors. Not many professional tennis players are burning up the court at age 39. You can say his playing style has matured over the years, but don't ever call him old. That's our report on World News Tonight. Peter Jennings will be back on Monday. Later this evening on Nightline, we'll focus on new evidence that there's a physical basis for homosexuality. Hope you'll join us. I'm Ted Koppel. Have a good evening.
And now, the news continues with Channel 2 News at 6.
She was looking forward to starting first grade this week.